What if the next medical breakthrough could change thousands of lives? Welcome to Moving Medicine Forward, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the breakthroughs shaping the future of healthcare. I'm your host, Jeremy Schran, and together with CTI's leading experts, we explore the cutting edge of clinical research transforming patient care. Each episode, we dive into the science, strategy, and innovation driving medical advancements, joined by global therapeutic experts who are redefining how we understand and treat critical disease. From rare genetic conditions to revolutionary treatment protocols, we're not just discussing research, we're sharing the human stories that move medicine forward. Joining us is Rafael Miñana Prieto, Senior Manager of Lab Operations and Biorepository Director at CTI. Rafael leads global biorepository operations across the US and Europe, overseeing everything from kit design and sample collection to storage, retrieval, and shipment, ensuring every step is connected to deliver reliable, meaningful results. In this conversation, Rafael shares why biological specimens are truly the foundation of clinical evidence, how small missteps in sample handling can have big downstream impacts, and how CTI's global standardization approach helps reduce risk and strengthen data integrity. We'll also explore the growing complexity of trials, the importance of the pre-analytical phase, and how integrated laboratory services are improving the experience for sponsors and study teams. Let's jump into the conversation. Welcome to the podcast, Rafael. We're so glad to have you here today to talk about the lab. To start things out, can you share a bit about your role and what operations look like within laboratory services and the biorepository at CTI?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. So the main role that I'm covering right now is to oversee globally our biorepositories in the US and Spain. I oversee since the beginning of the life cycle of the sample, covering kit production, then the collection of the samples at sites, getting everything arranged to get them back to the lab, storing them, retrieving them, delivering them. So it's kind of connect the whole life cycle of the sample until we can deliver an appropriate, valuable result.
From your perspective, why are biological specimens such a strategic asset in clinical research? And what's the risk when sample management isn't treated as part of the full life cycle?
Biological specimens are the foundation of clinical evidence. So we need to pay attention because every downstream result depends on the integrity of the original sample. That's critical to keep oversight of every single step in order to provide and deliver valuable results.
What's the risk when the sample management isn't treated as part of a full life cycle?
So main thing, which is great impact on patients, it's because you can get a very valuable scientifically talking result, but then biologically speaking, it is not so valuable if we lost chain of custody or we couldn't maintain temperature or we couldn't analyze samples within the acceptable range. So that's crucial because otherwise you cannot connect the result with the biological impact that there's behind.
At a high level, how do you define a specimen life cycle?
I have my own sentence to define this, and I see this like a switch watch. So every single gear needs to connect perfectly in order to make it happen. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It's not just the equipment or the stuff behind. There's a lot of things that are playing a key role that we cannot control. For instance, logistics. Customs in Europe are hard. Just paying attention what's certain requirements for certain countries that and advancing to that make us get samples on time, providing the results on time, and at the end of the day, making us successful in our business.
Where do you think the most critical decision points come into play in that life cycle?
It's important as a global lab to keep our standardization like a testament right now. So we need to follow exactly same procedures. At the end of the day, we are working as a global CRO. We are covering sites globally. So a sample that it's here analyzed in the US should be able to provide the same result that a sample being analyzed in Europe at the same time. That's crucial.
CTI provides continuous monitoring and built-in redundancy. How do these safeguards show up in day-to-day operations, and how do they reduce risk?
In practice, it means that we operate with multiple layers of control rather than a single point of failure. And we use continuous monitoring systems and redundancy in critical infrastructure, but just as important is how we respond. We treat every signal as an opportunity of intervention. That proactively leads us to reduce the risk and be on time always.
I think that's very important, trying to reduce that risk. Once samples are stored, accuracy and timing become critical. How does your team approach retrieval and global shipment while protecting the sample integrity?
Accuracy and timing are critical, as you mentioned, but during retrieval and shipment, we always request visibility in advance to be prepared for what will happen. So first of all, our teams need clarity, knowing what and when. So we can connect the different departments since sample services, biorep team, logistics, the third-party lab or the receiver of these samples. Connecting those dots, we can consolidate an infrastructure that will ensure that the samples will be retrieved and will be shipped, and we will arrive on a timely manner, keeping the integrity, and then being able to deliver the results that we are willing to.
CTI's biorepository services include specimen, kit building, which you mentioned a little bit earlier, then logistics and oversight. Why is getting those upstream details right so important to everything that happens downstream?
So because of a lot of variation we see downstream actually starts in the beginning, just in these processes. Things like the kit design, the shipping instructions that sites should follow have a big impact on the logistics then when these samples are coming back, or how these samples are being collected, packed, and moved to our labs. If these are not clear and standardized, mistakes can happen. And these little mistakes can have a huge impact on the integrity of the samples. And at the end, again, impacts on the results that we could deliver.
How does being part of CTI's broader global laboratory services model, including safety testing and bioanalytical work, change the experience for sponsors and study teams today?
It fundamentally reduces fragmentation. Instead of managing disconnected vendors and hands-off, sponsors operate within an unified ecosystem where the biorep or safety lab testing and the bioanalytical lab are aligned. So that improves visibility and reduces operational gaps and strengthens overall data consistency across the study lifecycle.
Can you share an example of what can break down as biorepository operations scale, and how does CTI design systems to prevent that?
When biorepositories operations scale up, small deficiencies, for instance, in labeling or in timing or on documentation that can seem minor, but across many sites and the studies, they add up and create uncertainty in the data. To prevent this, we focus on strong standardization. We follow CAP regulations and clear training and system design that guides users to the right thing by default. So making the process accurate is easy to follow.
When planning a study, where do you see the biggest gaps in understanding around biorepository operations, and how do you address those early on?
One of the biggest gaps that are playing a key role is the pre-analytical phase. Everything that happens just before a sample can be frozen and stored in our biorep or analyzed in our facilities. Another is viewing biorepositories as passive storage rather than active quality systems that influence the data integrity. We address this early by engaging the different functional areas during the design of the study, so expectations around the specimen handling are aligned from the beginning within the different functional areas.
As studies become more complex, what trends are shaping expectations for biorepository services, and how is CTI positioning itself to meet those needs?
We see three major trends right now. One is the increasing biological complexity. Another one is the global trial expansion, and also a shift toward data-driven and predictive operations. So together, they raise expectations around consistency, traceability, and speed of insight. And CTI is positioning itself by strengthening integration across services, increasing global standardization, and leveraging data systems that support more predictive and proactive quality management.
I mentioned the CAP accreditation earlier. Now, the European lab is the only biorepository CAP accredited in all of Europe. Is that correct?
That's correct. So last October, CTI's European biorep became the first and only one CAP accredited biorep in Europe. We currently are just the only ones holding this title, and we're very proud.
How does that help a sponsor that's trying to run a global trial?
We then can provide this consistency again. We are offering global results. We are offering global opportunities. So now we have the US biorep and the US lab being CAP accredited, doing exactly the same with the European side. Just goes along with the same direction, can provide this solution globally, guaranteeing the same standards.
Gracias, Rafael. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Muchas gracias a vosotros. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Rafael for joining us and sharing his insights. It's clear that every step in the specimen lifecycle plays a critical role in protecting data integrity and ultimately impacting patient outcomes. And as trials grow more complex, CTI's integrated global approach is helping ensure consistency every step of the way. And as always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave us a review. Visit ctifacts.com to learn more about how we can help you with your clinical trials. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep moving medicine forward.